Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 1988 Nationwide Auto Parts Indy Super Bowl, presented by Budweiser, the king of beers, and sponsored by Bill Estes Chevrolet. Super Bowl 15 big seasons of tremendous tractor and truck pulling competition coming to you from the Indiana State Fair Coliseum. I'm Dave Grimm, and working with me on the broadcast again this year, Mike Snyder. And Mike, what can we look at Super Bowl 15?
Well, the final session of Super Bowl, Dave, we're doing something a little bit different. We have what we call the bonus round. We're bringing back the best of the best. We're taking the top 6 tractors in both 7,000-pound classes and both 9,000-pound classes, and they'll come back for the runoff, so it's going to be a great show.
A new feature, and I hope you enjoy the action as we get ready for session number 4, the final session of pulling at Indy Super Bowl 15. We'll be right back. Well, here we go now on session number 4, the 6,200-pound four-wheel drive truck class. And what a strong field we have. Gary Saline out of Norfolk, Nebraska will lead things off, Mike.
This is Gary's new truck, Dave, an 88 Ford he calls Red Hot.
Let's go to the action right now. Great paint job, and of course he's a fine driver. Has always have had good running machines. You don't see him break very often. He's come back. He's won at Bowling Green, won at the Ohio State Fair several times, and has always been a thorn in the side of a lot of the East Coast drivers.
Absolutely. If this truck runs anything like his other one, Wildfire, this should be an excellent pull.
All of these four-wheel drives running sophisticated special tires with the right bars, and of course grind these tires to get a good edge on them and get a bite in the track. Bounced a little bit, but now he's getting locked in. Look at that truck pull down. Oh, a little bit of bouncing there at the end. I don't think he'll be too pleased, but a good pull. Here's young Scott Smith, only 16 years of age, out of Winchester, Virginia. He's done a dynamic job of pulling this weekend with the 82 Chevrolet. There he goes, and what speed he has.
He made a perfect start. You couldn't ask for a better shot off the starting line.
Well, he's close to the pylon at 228 and 7. That's going to be a tough pull to beat. We haven't heard much out of Willie Umps this weekend out of Winchester, Virginia. He just hasn't had that good pulling.
No, but you can't count Willie out. He's always right in there in these four-wheel drive classes. Willie made a good start.
The Enforcer right down the middle of the track. This could be a winning run. But it's not. 220 and 1. Gary Saline's second truck called Wildfire. These Fords that he has brought in from Norfolk, Nebraska have just been great this weekend. And he just loves to come back to the East and beat the East Coast and Midwesterners.
Well, I'll say, Dave, this truck's been a holy terror on the circuit here for the last couple of years.
He needs to beat 228 and 7. Scott Smith is in the lead. You can hear those RPMs of the motor come up, and when they get to the right RPMs, they'll turn it loose.
Begins to lock, and he tries to get a smooth shot off the starting line.
And it is a good pull on the way. Look at the speed. The green is out. There's the pylon, and there's his run of 224 and 1. Want to get started in pulling? Here's a truck you may want to buy. Larry Frame out of Fredonia, New York with a 1986 GMC has been running strong all of 1987, and he'd like to finish high here at the Super Bowl. Larry Frame, 219 and 9. Gary Saline was the test puller in this class, and he declined to take that original run with the truck he calls Red Hot. He came up a little bit ago with his Wildfire truck, and he said he might have learned something on that first run. So now we go back to Red Hot. Let's see if he can take the lead with this beautiful Ford truck out of Nebraska. He was the original test puller in the class.
That's right, Dave, and he is the only man in the class that can do this, drop back and have a second shot at it.
It looks like just about everybody, in fact, I think that's right, everybody in the class has been running in a checkered motor.
Yes, there are no superchargers allowed in this class.
the bounce of the truck.
Finally settled down there about mid-track.
And he finishes at 2:25.7. Mike, here's Steve Olson out of Farley, Iowa with Showtime, a gorgeous truck.
Dave, we talked just a minute ago that these engines are not supercharged. And believe it or not, it costs more to build one of these engines than it does a blower motor. Because these engines are large cubic inch, high compression, and they don't live very long. Crankshafts break, and believe it or not, it's cheaper to build a blower motor than it is one of these high horsepower, naturally aspirated engines.
The Simon Says pulling team. Steve Olson waiting for the track to clear of all of the equipment. First, the track officials have tried to pack the track, grade the track, give all of our pullers a fair and equal chance. Unlike drag racing or oval track racing, when you pull on dirt or race on dirt, conditions will change from time to time.
No matter how well the track's maintained, it's never exactly the same.
Well, it's competitive. It's one thing for the track to change itself under the weather conditions if we happen to be outside, but you certainly want to have the track do the best job they can for everybody. Here we go. Steve Olson. Showtime. And you can hear those RPMs coming right down. He's running out of power, maybe too big a gear. He finishes at 2:14. Well, the ladies like this guy, and he likes them too, as he travels around the country. Mean Green, Glenn Davis, the happy-go-lucky guy that takes his pulling seriously.
He was the winner in this class yesterday afternoon.
He could make it too. The Hollywood, Florida puller is on his way.
Good run, good straight run. Lost a little RPM there at the end of the track. Glenn Davis finishes 2:25.5.
And he's only 2 inches behind Gary Sellen with Red Hot. Bud Jaske hasn't had as good a weekend with the four-wheel drive truck as he had a year ago in 1987 at Super Bowl 14.
Well, he changed brands. Last year he ran Dodge, Dave, and this year he has a Chevrolet, but they both had the same kind of engine in them, the big aluminum Arias.
A lot of weights hanging out there in the front.
They lighten up the trucks as much as they can, hang all the weight on the front end because they get the downpull they need from the chain on the sled.
A real gentleman of the sport, Bud Jaske out of Wisconsin with the Aries. They call the Meisterbrow Express at 2:14.3.
This year, is this going to be a big disappointment for you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm still so tickled about my son's victory here this afternoon and yesterday that, yeah, we'd have liked to have done better, but it's a tough field of trucks. We gambled a little bit on the gear and thought we had to improve from yesterday, but I'm just so pleased about winning the 7 this afternoon that we worked hard on that tractor. And
Track really looks like it's taking some power here this afternoon.
A lot more than it did yesterday. That's probably what killed us here today.
But Jaske's having a big time here at Super Bowl. Congratulations, Bud.
Here's Paul Holman out of Wauseon, Ohio. That's in the northwestern part of the Buckeye State, up west of Toledo. He calls the truck four-plane. It's a 1960 Chevy. If I remember, that was a very popular model of truck.
Yes, it is, Dave. There's been quite a few pullers that have used this model Chevrolet over the years.
He's got a smooth start. He looked good in the earlier class here at Super Bowl 15.
Just a little short on horsepower today.
And everybody's running out of horsepower for the most part.
Well, they aren't supercharged, Dave. These engines, they put out about the same power as a supercharged engine, but they don't have near the torque that a blown motor does.
We move right along to Jerry Weaver out of Thornville, Ohio. Jerry Weaver's Nationwide Kendall truck has had a disappointing weekend as well. Jerry's a professional puller and attends about 40 events a year. He makes a good smooth start. He's got plenty of motor. Let's see what he can do. Rear end is bouncing. He is not getting the traction. Those tires just are not onto the ground and digging in.
I don't really think his engine was running the way he wanted it to, Dave. He finishes up 197.2.
Here's Ed Hensloven out of Morrisdale, Pennsylvania. Nightmare. He's ready to tackle the track. Beautiful looking Chevrolet. First we see those big green lights up there on the decision maker signifying the sled is ready to go. Ron Hickson, our sled operator for this class.
Takes a good start. Uh-oh. And he has stopped before he went 75 feet, so he'll get another shot at it.
They have thought he may have been in the wrong gear or something, Dave, and they have to make a decision whether they're going to stop awful quick.
That's one of the reasons for the 75-foot marker, isn't it, Mike?
That's right. As long as they let off of the throttle before the front of the sled passes the 75-foot mark, they can back up and have one more chance.
In case the sled would push them across 75
Right,
feet.
as long as they have begun their shutdown before the front of the sled passes the 75 foot.
They'll get another shot at it. Uh-oh, he's got problems, and it sounds like they've torn it up pretty bad. He's going to finish at 4 feet, 8 inches.
Ed Hensloven blows it down on the starting line, and our winner is Scott Smith from Winchester, Virginia. And Scott, I've got to ask you right now, is this about the biggest thing you've ever won in your life?
Yeah, it'd have to be up top of wins in my category.
Are you really 16 years of age?
Yeah, I'm 16.
That's just old enough to drive.
Yeah, I got my license in February, and gonna be 17 this February.
I tell you, very professional driver. He wins the 1988 four-wheel drive class here at the Indy Super Bowl. We'll be right back with the Dragster Tractors coming up next.
Sunday afternoon, Session 4 of Indy Super Bowl 15, sponsored by Nationwide Auto Parts, Budweiser Beer, and Bill Estes Chevrolet. And Mike, a new format, a very interesting afternoon of pulling, as we bring in the 7,000 modified top 6 for the bonus round. We'll have some bonus rounds later on in this show, as well as a full class of 6,200 four-wheel drive trucks. John Heilman comes back now in the bonus round with his brand new old red tractor with 4 Rodec engines.
Dave, this is a new tractor for John here at Super Bowl, and in all the classes, he's just really learning how to drive it, how to weight it, and he's really getting things sorted out here.
Well, the first pull they took it to was a TNT Indoor Winter event down in Charleston, West Virginia.
Last weekend, but they didn't run 4 engines in it, so really John is in the learning process with this new tractor.
The bonus round for the top 6 on the 7 mod. Hey, he's got a good pull going. Maybe a little heavy on the nose,
Just
Mike.
a little heavy on the front, but he'll learn after a few trips down the track.
John Heilman finishes at 2:19 and 10. Steve Jaske out of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, has had a pretty good weekend. If they hadn't run out of bounds from the first performance on Friday night, they'd have a spectacular weekend.
They have, but even with that, the Jaske family has had a real good Indy Super Bowl.
The tractor has hooked up well. The engines have run awfully good. And their chassis with the big Aries engines has really been a factor.
Steve looks like he's having a little problem getting it in gear there.
Now, Mike, how many different gear selections would they have for a tractor like this?
It kind of depends, Dave. Some of the tractors don't have a transmission at all. They just have one gear built in them, and that's it. And then they also have a reverse gear so that they can back up to the sled.
Heilman in the lead at 2:19. That's what Steve Jaske has to beat. And look at that tractor shape. And look at it go. A full pull for Steve Jaske, and he takes a commanding lead. Here's Dan Garrity out of Albion, Indiana, running 3 KB Hemis, the big Keith Black motors coming to life in the 7-mod bonus round. It starts to lift. He's made nice pulls all weekend. Empty pockets. His pockets won't go home empty, though, however. He'll take some money home in the bonus round as he finishes at 194 and 7. Fred Freeman has the best opportunity here, really, now to move up in our leaders or maybe take and tie for the lead with Steve Jaske, because this tractor's set up through 7 very well.
Yeah, 7 is one of Fred's best classes.
Comes off the line with those 454 Chevys blazing. Mean mistreater to the right-hand side. Oh, he almost goes out of bounds, but he keeps it about a foot inbounds near the pylon, but short at 225 and 3. And now we go to the final puller in the bonus round of the 7 mod. Phil Patterson out of Ware, New Hampshire with the Sassy Massey. As the Knox family looks on, this has been a big weekend for them at Super Bowl, their best ever.
It sure has, Dave. Probably the best they've ever done at Indy Super Bowl.
They came real close to winning a class on Saturday night. He needs to make a full pull to tie Steve Jaske and send this into a pull-off. ride. But look at him.
Bouncing back and forth on those rear tires.
Well, it's going to come up short. He'll finish number 4 at 2:18 and 2. We thought that Phil Patterson was going to be our last puller, but Gardner Stone is going to be able to get the general fired up. But it looks like he's got something wrong with the tractor, Mike.
I don't know. Gardner's had problems all weekend. He just, the tractor really hasn't hooked to the track like it should, and now it appears they may have engine problems there with one of the 2 big Allisons.
That would be a lot of alcohol burning off?
Well, the fuel injection has a high and a low side, or a blown and an unblown side, and there's a lot of controls that control how much fuel is going into the engine, and possibly there's a problem somewhere in all the sophisticated equipment.
Well, they've got 3 people down there right in front hitting switches and moving things back and forth, and Gardner will tell you that to get these Allisons to run is very difficult, but he takes special pride in running these V12 Allisons that were built back between 1939 and 1944, and of course they ran them in the airplanes in World War II.
That's right, Dave. Those engines are older than you and I, either one.
I'm glad you said that. Thank you, Mike. So the track crew out on the track making the final preparations for Gardner Stone, and he will be the final puller here in the bonus round of the 7 mod. It hasn't been a best weekend for Gardner. He's come a long way out of Middlebury, Vermont, to make this pull, and a lot of guys have, and sometimes when you don't do so well at Indy, it's a long trip home.
And this is the same tractor that Gardner runs 3 engines in the heavy class, and also these engines can be slid forward or back on the frame to help balance the tractor. It's a very, very unique piece of machinery.
Gardner Stone has traveled all over this country pulling tractors. He went from a single Allison to
Gardner Stone Motors, or G Stone Motors as they say up at Middlebury, Vermont, a beautiful shop just south of the lovely New England town.
Okay, green flag is out. He needs to pull forward.
It's popping and wheezing. He's having a tough time getting down the track. The front end is nose heavy. A lot of smoke and flames go up at 120 feet and 4 inches. Disappointing for Gardner Stone. We go now to the 9,000-pound modified bonus round. The top 6 coming back, and here's Mike Holden out of Marietta, Ohio. The 3 Allison, 1,710 cubic inches, coming to light.
Good run, Dave, taking him over to the right side of the track a little bit.
Now we see some smoke coming off of that front motor. Is that just some oil burning off of the exhaust pipe?
It could be oil leaking out from under the valve covers and get down on the exhaust header.
And strapping up into position, the Banner brothers, Dave Banner. This is an interesting combination of the Banner brothers. David always does the driving, and Ralph, well, he does the mechanic work and a lot of the engine work and the building of the tractors, as well as the chassis work and rear end work for many other pullers in the country.
Yeah, he sure does, Dave, and Ralph will admit he doesn't like to drive. His thing is building the equipment, and Dave is the driver.
Well, I can remember years back when Ralph did drive a little bit. He was quite a big guy on taking rolling.
Yeah, Ralph gets awful nervous before he pulls. He'd rather stand on the track and watch him run.
And David is cool, calm, and collected.
Dave's an excellent driver.
So Dave Banner out of LaFontaine, Indiana, the Fox, as they renamed this tractor for 1988. The bonus round. Extra money going to top pullers that qualified for this afternoon's competition.
This is the first year we've ever had this format at Indy Super Bowl, Dave, and I think it's going to be real popular.
So the fans have enjoyed it as Dave Banner comes down the track. He's got a good run going. That front end is beginning to lift. He looks over toward the right light. I'm not going far enough.
Dave finishes up 200 feet, 1 inch. Well, Dave, once again, here comes Tim Engler, and you can bet Tim's had kind of a rough weekend. He's really going to be going for it on this last hook.
He's going to go all out. The Banner brothers, David Banner, went 200 feet and 1 inch, so certainly Tim says, I've got a good shot to beat that distance. Mission impossible. Those engines come to life in the 9-mod bonus round. He's getting over very close to the left-hand side as he heads for the wall at the end, very close to our track equipment on the left-hand side of the track. And Mike Snyder, he looks like he may be close to going out of bounds.
He very well could have, Dave. The stake that marks the end of the track is right there just about where he's setting.
And we have received word, yes, he has been disqualified for going out of bounds. So here we go now. David Banner, this is their second entry in the class. They've already had a run of 200 feet 1 inch with the box. This will be Mr. Chevy. 6 brand new Chevrolet engines on this tractor for 1988, and he shakes, rattles, and rolls off the line. Here he goes. And Mike, it looked like some alcohol coming out of that front left.
That one motor looked like it wasn't quite firing on all the cylinders, Dave.
2:16 and 3 for Dave Banner and Mr. Chevy. Here's Sudden Thunder, Wayne Keith, out of Hebron, Connecticut. I believe this is the first modified tractor ever to come out of Connecticut.
I believe so, Dave, and it's a good one.
Boy, it's nicely built and a good run he's got going. He just tickled to be here. And he finishes at 187 and 8. Well, we're down to 1, and here comes Dave Walsh out of Austin, Wisconsin, the final puller in the class. These 640 cubic inch Aries, Mike, they would be probably the biggest Aries engines that are used in pulling.
That's right, Dave. A couple of the engines on here are the new 10-liter Aries, which is a bigger, heavier block capable of more cubic inches. It's just a monstrous motor. And with this is a unique tractor with the small front tires where he can slide his engines back and forth in the frame to get his balance just the way he wants it.
This is a tractor that everybody's going to worry about in 1988. The Walsh family coming on strong and pulling, making a big name for themselves. Boy, they've had a pretty good weekend. The Irish Challenger leads the line. He has to beat 2:16 and 3 if he wants to win. And look at this. What a run. And he wins the pole in the bonus round at 2:20 and 1.
Les, we have with us here at the trackside. It's a tough thing for him to do, and we appreciate him coming by. A visibly upset Tim Engler from southwestern Indiana. And Tim, I appreciate you coming back from the pit area where you took your tractor after you made your run. We had received word that you'd been disqualified. Explain it to us in your own words what happened over there on the left-hand side of the track.
Well, I'll be honest, whenever you're vibrating in the seat of one of these tractors, it's pretty hard to see a little metal surveyor's flag standing there at the end of the track. Usually you have a white line like they have over there right now that they put down there since I went out of bounds. I just feel like that if there'd been a marker like there is right here on this side of the track, a guy'd know a little bit better where he's at. When you're going that kind of speed, it's kind of hard to see where you're at. But I got beat. I went out of bounds, I guess, so I'll take my lumps. I told the people last night we felt like we got a raw deal and we came back today. We went far enough, but we went out of bounds, I guess.
Would you consider this a moral victory this afternoon, the way that your tractor really came to life, lifted, and just had awesome power?
Anybody that's seen that tractor run this year, they know that tractor's the #1 tractor in the country, and we're very proud of it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he has summed it up right here at trackside. Dave Walsh here, not the most happy guy here today, even though you won the bonus round here in the 9 modified. A lot of oil behind us here on the track. What happened?
Rod broke in the first left motor. The rod came outside.
Front left motor, rod breaks and pretty much destroys the engine?
Yeah, well, you can weld out the block, but a lot of stuff is ruined inside.
So you win a couple of $1,000 to have to go home to repair what, $7,000 or $8,000 worth?
Yeah, probably 10 or 12.
Well, that's putting it on the line. I tell you, still a good victory for you this afternoon. Your tractor really coming on strong. You still got to be happy.
Yeah, I'm real happy to win here because you're pulling against the best, and it's a real pleasure to win here.
Can we look for the Walsh boys to be tough on the Redman TNT All-American Series this year?
Oh, yeah, we'll be there.
Well, they'll be there. They're not going to let a broken engine keep them out of the competition further on this season.
We're going to start things off in the 9,000-pound Super Stock bonus round with Charlie Ross. Charlie out of Zanesville, Ohio, driving an Alice Chalmers D21, making a spectacular pole.
Real good run, Dave.
One of the best we've ever seen Charlie Ross make, and he finishes at 2:33. That's going to be tough to beat. Anything that Danny Dean does now will only be a bonus, Mike Snyder, as he gets ready to bring his International 1066 down the track. The puller from South Charleston, Ohio, has been in the winner's circle many times before.
Yeah, he has, Dave, but in the 11 Super last night, he ended up last, so I'm sure he'd like to finish off Super Pole on a little higher note than that.
But he's had a first and he's had a last. Let's see what he can do here today.
He's really moving.
Tractor's lifting very nicely. Good balance, and he makes a full pull. Quad turbo, that's 4 under the hood of this 3688. Brett Berg out of Farmington, Minnesota. The bonus round with his 3688 Big Red, and he is flying. Boy, that's a perfect run, or at least it looks that way until he gets to the end, and he comes up a couple feet short at 2:31 and 6.
Dave, what's it look like from there? Did he get it out the end? No, he is short. The green flag.
Mark Gettinger with the equalizer. I like the name of that tractor out of Milton, Indiana. And I'll tell you, the Gettinger boys have had a big weekend at Super Pole 88.
Boy, they have. This one and the John Deere both. They have really had a good weekend.
Screaming machines as they come down the track, trying to pick up some extra money here in the bonus round. And he spins out at 2:26 and 1 for Mark Gettinger.
Well, Dave, one more time. Here comes the awesome 4010 of Neil Gettinger from Milton, Indiana.
Anything that Neil can do here will just be great. He's got to be very satisfied the tractor has run. And he checks his brake as he leaves the line. A little bit of smoke coming out there, a little bit of leakage. And look at him turn those tires. Up and at him is flying. Boy, he just carries that front end so nicely. And it's a good pull of 2:31 and 3, just 3 inches behind Brett Berg. So there's that little John Deere once again behind these big quad turbo setups. Here's John Klug out of Stockport, Iowa with the International 3688. And Mikey hasn't had the best weekend here at Super Pole 15.
No, this hasn't been one of his best Super Poles, and this is John's last shot to be right in there.
The Red Baron now starting to drift to the left-hand side of the track. He hasn't touched the brake, but he comes up short at 2:28 and 9. Here's the start of the bonus round in the 7,500-pound super stock class, and Esden Lane leads things off out of Dayton, Minnesota. The International 1486 Redline Fever, a great run.
Dave, I'd have to say this has been one of Esden's best all-around Super Poles. He finishes with a distance of 2:26 even.
Rob Russell's had a good weekend, winning one class. Here he comes now in the bonus round of the 7,500.
Good run.
3688 workhorse, really looking sharp. It's a Ford turbocharger setup, and he finishes at 2:23 and 10. We move right along to the big John Deere now of Coleman Wheatley. Coleman in the 7,500 bonus round out of Bethel, Delaware with the John Deere 4250. He blows it off the line with the front end lifting. Got a little bit of a shaky problem there as he goes 3/4 the way down the track and finishes at 199 and 9. We come right back to Tom Dickerson out of Olean, New York. Here, the International 686 has been a screaming demon this weekend. The 20-mule team tractor. He'll have a new one later on this season, and this one will be for sale. And he's got problems. Something has gone wrong.
The word from trackside, Dave, is that he dropped an injector.
He finishes at 117 and 10. Iron Elk right behind him. Warren Ropp out of Kelowna, Iowa, has always been strong in this class, but he hasn't looked as sharp in 1988 as he did in 87. The John Deere 4430 comes to life. He's got a good run going.
Good, strong run.
And it's going to put him close to the front at 219 and 7. That'll leave us with one to go. Hans Boxler Jr. out of Varysburg, New York. This International 1066 has had a dynamite weekend.
Boy, they've had to do a lot of wrenching on this tractor this weekend. On the motor, on the flywheel, they've really been busy.
They've thrashed and thrashed, as the pullers say in the pit area. They're just glad to be on the starting line, and they've made it for every class, Mike.
They sure have. With all the work they've done, they have not missed a hook.
They can be proud of their accomplishments at the Nationwide Indy Super Pole. He watches his boost gauge as he comes off the line. One strong performance after another, and they finish at 213 and 11. And that concludes the bonus round of the 7,500-pound super stock.